Looking at the history of humanity, we can easily see that human beings have always believed in God, one way or the other. It is in human nature to connect with a supreme power and ask for His help. The question is, who is that God? Humans are weak by nature, with very limited control over their surroundings. Things which have a great impact on life, like health, children, relatives, natural disasters, or weather conditions, are all not controlled by humans. Just by looking at these marvelous creations, human beings enter a state of awe. It makes humans crave for the presence of a greater being who has control over things which human beings have no control over. Humans also crave the connection and communication with such a powerful being. This is a natural need of humans, satisfied with the concept of God found in every religion throughout human history. However, the greatest ignorance is that man starts to worship the things that are powerful, benefit him, or harm him, just as how man worshipped the fire and the sun. But then he realizes that these things are dependent and weak, and cannot do anything that goes against God's law. Therefore, they cannot be God. Then he reasons that there must be some greater force behind these material things, something which governs them. This is where the concept of multiple gods came from. A god for each powerful thing was accepted, and people began to worship as many gods as they could imagine. Then man's understanding of the world increased, and seeing the harmony existing in the world, those who believed in many gods were forced to believe that there must be a greater, more powerful God as well, who controls the affairs of the smaller gods. Otherwise, if there would be many gods, all making their own decisions, and they would not be in harmony with one another, the universe would be in chaos. Thus, man worshipped a greater God as well as many smaller gods. He believed that God's kingship was also like a human kingship. Just as a king had many ministers and advisors, God also had many smaller gods working under him. And without pleasing the smaller gods, you could not please the greater God. As man's understanding has evolved further, the number of gods accepted by people has decreased, until finally one God remains. However, there is still a lot of ignorance about this one God. Some people believe that God has a body, just like ours, and has a partner and offspring. Some believe that it is necessary to go to pious people for their intercession. Otherwise, it is impossible to please the greater God. Superior to all these falsehoods is the knowledge of La ilaha illallah. This knowledge has been revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His Prophet. It states that God is the one who has always existed and will always exist. He is not in need of anyone and is self-sufficient. He knows everything, has power over all things, and is free of defects and weaknesses. All these attributes can only belong to one being, as only one can have control over everything. They cannot be divided among many gods, because if one God was the supreme ruler, another one had knowledge, and yet another one sustained everything, then they would each be dependent on the other. These attributes also cannot be transferred from one being to another. A God that cannot live forever cannot give life to the entire universe. If He cannot protect Himself, He must not be in complete control over the universe. While looking at this universe with the correct understanding of God, you will come to the conclusion that no object can be considered divine, and that there is only one God who is worthy of worship.